All right, taking a quick break here. We have a big day tomorrow. It's almost Valentine's Day, which means it's time to fertilize the first one of the year, especially citrus. So I just like to give them a little bit of help, keep them growing fast, so I don't have to buy it from the grocery store. All right, let's get started.
First off, here's the fish and kelp fertilizer concentrate we like to use. I regularly switch between brands, and this attachment has changed my life. No more pump sprayers. Under the tarp, I have my saved gallon containers for root drenches. Super helpful. Alright, on the patio, we have all of our amendments and soils. So here's the steer manure, chicken manure, fox farm we like to use for seedlings, mushroom compost, which is really easy peasy. And here's our stash of fertilizer, coconut coir, and some more grow bags. To get ready for today, I picked a few greens before we fertilize. So some nice collards, lettuce, celery. We found some large radishes. So here is the fruit and citrus food. Let's have a look and see what the requirements are, or at least the recommended amount. So it looks like it varies from 1.5 tablespoons for a pot all the way up to 1.5 cups for a foot of plant to 3 cups for larger trees. So 3 cups per an inch of trunk diameter. However, I like to feed frequently and a little bit less, so I'm going to shoot for about 2 cups per plant. Now these red cups hold 2 cups, and you can see it's pretty mixed texture and easy to deal with. So I want to see how much 2 cups covers around each tree. And then I'll go ahead and spread the fertilizer by hand, which is way faster. It's all natural, but I like wearing gloves. It can be a little stinky. So I'm trying to sprinkle what I would think would be the drip line. This is a nice slow release, so I don't have to worry about burning my plants. And I am totally aware that I tend to overwater, so especially in the winter when everyone isn't growing that fast. So I like to put in some veggies underneath, so those are collards. This area of the garden receives morning light and then dappled filtered light for the rest of the day. So it's a great spot for containers. So I have kumquats, Australians, and a couple of other fruit trees in this area in grow bags. So I'm just going to give them a handful of fertilizer. And that's a giant bamboo, probably on its first year. It should be exploding soon here. Now this area is closer to the south side of our yard. We have a hedge of orange jubilee to protect these fruit trees. So this is a mandarin next to a Meyer lemon. So they'll get morning light, and then as the day progresses, they'll receive shade from the orange jubilee hedge to the south of them, and overhead dappled from the moringas once they wake up. And you can see behind me there is a trimmed back Mexican sunflower that also helps. And in general, having all these plants in here together close by increases humidity, as well as the mulch helps keep the roots nice and cool. Oh, I thought I picked all of my Meyer lemons. Like there was a couple hiding in the back. Alright, this one is our Arizona Sweet. It just went in the ground this fall. Behind it is a dormant ever-bearing mulberry. And of course it's surrounded by pigeon peas. Those are nitrogen fixing, as well as providing a little bit of shade. And in front of it is rosemary. And underneath I have tomatoes and chard growing in the grow well around the tree to help activate the soil. Looks like our pigeon peas are ready to harvest. I just left them on the plants this year so they could just dry and I could just pick them at the end. Our apple tree looks like it's about to bloom. It's finally waking up early enough to mature its apples before they bake in the hot sun. Let's check out our rosemaries. I put a few extra in after realizing they do extremely well in the full sun Arizona heat, which is surprising, and lots of collards. All right, let's head up this path. Hey guys, leave it. Leave it, buddies. Good job. So this is our key lime tree, a recently trimmed Mexican sunflower next to a guava, and hidden in the center is a Arizona Sweet orange tree. And our guava was super excited this winter and set some fruit. Next to one of our really big grow bags. So the garden is set up in concentric rings, which makes it really pleasant to walk through. I really enjoy the crunching of the mulch as I'm going through and doing my garden chores. So this tree has been in here for probably 2 years. So I'm gonna give it a little extra. Probably 4 handfuls or more. Especially since it's close coast to the sugarcane and the Mexican sunflower. They have to share nutrients. The best, baby. Alright, so let's head into this little dapple shade area. I think this is going to be a great sitting area this summer. We have the perfect dapple light for parting off my seedlings and the new trees I ordered. So we have our Arizona sweet, orange tree, protected by the sunflowers, or I should say Mexican sunflowers, sugarcane, and then there's a Hong Kong orchid as well as a guava tree in this area. They'll be high enough to actually walk under and sit under this year. And the sugar cane makes a really nice rustling sound in the breeze. They're just coming out of winter, so the cold shocked their leaves a little bit into this tan color, and really time to go ahead and harvest and make some sugar cane juice. And under this tree I have the same setup where I have some kale as well as chard, herbs, nasturtium, All right, it's deer manure time. I'm going to take a bucket and side dress our fastest growing plants. So this is the one we find at our local big box store. And it works. You can tell it has a good texture. Just fluff it up before tossing. Oh, found a few more hidden lemons under a collared plant there. So we're going to start with our hedge of bamboo and moringa trees. This is our newest one, filling in a gap. And it already has a new shoot. This is one of my favorite areas in our yard. It's a path that turns into a shady green tunnel during the summer. There's bamboo on one side forming a hedge, and pigeon peas and Mexican sunflower on the other. It's cool and dappled, and the bamboo make a really peaceful sound in the breeze. And I love walking on the mulch as it sheds its leaves continuously. Once they were established, I didn't need to add more mulch to this area. The bamboo takes care of itself. This is also a great area during the summer where I put my sensitive tropical trees so they can enjoy the warmth without the scorching sun. And I'm just giving a light feeding. It's warming up, but it's not super hot yet, so this is just going right on top of the mulch. I don't pull it back, and it'll break down over time. And as they get watered, the nutrients will seep through. Alright, let's head over to the Jubilee hedge next. So this is a hedge of orange Jubilee along the wall. Since this is February, they dropped a few of their leaves, so it's a bit thin, and I recently trimmed the bottoms to kind of help tree them a little bit, not completely. It's just so that they grow upward faster over that wall. And that'll provide shade for all the plants in the afternoon. That's southern exposure. I'm just giving them a handful. They don't necessarily like a lot of food. When I chop and drop the sunflowers, I'll pile the cuttings underneath, and that will give them a nitrogen boost. So no need to fertilize heavily. It's their turn this year. The rest of the yard received cuttings all of last year. And our apple tree is just waking up. I'm going to give it just a couple of handfuls. No need to get a ton. It's just barely waking up. Okay, so we're done with the dry fertilizer. I'll store the rest in the deck box for next time. I love this thing. I'll put a link in the description. It's really cleaned up our patio. Alright, let's take a quick tour. So these are the raised beds, or one of our raised beds. We have chards, lots of greens, mustard, herbs, tomatoes, all living together. Some of our Nopalito pads are putting on new growth. One of our peaches is blooming. As usual, it's the Florida Prince. It's always first of the year. The bees are loving the early food source. So close by we have a number of containers. So we always plant in a mixture of plants. So we'll have greens, flowers. Our artichoke came back this year. Have lavender in the ground that's blooming. It's a nice contrast with the pink peach blossoms next to our collards that are in the ground, and the celery are in the pots. They like being in full sun this time of year, but pretty soon I'll be moving them to the cool side of the yard and giving them shade for most of the day. They also like a lot of water. What's up, bud? Here you go. No? There you go. Sorry, baby. Can I have one? One too. Yep. What else? We got another one here. Alright, we have some snapdragons in the ground starting to bloom and take off. More cherry tomatoes. I probably should pick these before I start fertilizing, do our spray fertilizer. Next to the curry tree. These are also growing in fabric grow bags, so I can move them later on in the season. You want those? Yum, 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 yum. Yum. You can have all of them. There's a few more tomatoes ripening. Last year I realized I had a lot of old seeds, so I decided to plant them all. There's a close-up of our papaya. It's blooming, made it through the winter. Looks like we might have some actual papayas to harvest this year. This is the hottest part of our yard. This is one of our very large grow bags full of greens. So it's a bok choy, a red and green mustard, as well as chard under there. Across the back are lemongrass. Come on. Good boy. Yeah. Good you. And a few onions. And nasturtium is taking off under the... So we'll head on to the patio and we'll check out our mini aquaponic system here using a Rubbermaid tote. We wanted to put a water feature on the patio to cancel out the traffic noise. So why not add a few goldfish and plants? It's super relaxing on there. Alright, time for liquid fertilizing. It's been sitting around for a bit, so it needs a good shake. We'll see how it looks when we pour. So I'm going to shoot for about half a container. Oops, it looks like it's still pretty thick. I'll give another hard shake. Oops. So it's a little tube that just fell out. That's going to suck up the fertilizer into the nozzle, and it's going to combine with the water flowing through the hose. And this one lets you adjust the settings, which is fantastic. It really saves your back not having to carry around a spray pumper. So 3 ounces generally works for me. You can adjust it as you go. Every now and then a solid part gets into the tube and clogs it, so you can just adjust the top and that will shoot it through, and then you can go back and you can tell the difference. It'll be clear water coming out the nozzle versus slightly brown. So of course the dogs are attracted to it because it does smell a little. So time to start spraying down the plants. So as I spray each plant, I try to coat all of the leaves while keeping the container of fertilizer as level as possible. And sometimes it can become clogged, so I'll just adjust the rotating dial at the top until it runs clear, and then back up to my 3 ounces of fertilizer. This is perfect for this time of year as it's still cool out at night, so I'll skip the root drenches. No need to add extra soil dampness when it's cool out. That can lead to root rot. The plants can absorb the nutrients through their leaves. So I tend to go over them a couple times. The first time is kind of a damping, also rinsing off the leaves. It's been a while, it hasn't rained in a bit, so that kind of gets the dust off, and then I just give them another spray over. And just keep going up and down. Nice and easy. And you can see the water flow here coming out of the nozzle. And what happens when you change it. So that's more of a summertime flow when it's really dark. Everyone's growing happy, but it's winter. We're just going to give them a light feed. So this works for us. Let me know what you guys use for fertilizer. And if you find this type of video helpful, please subscribe and like. I appreciate it. We're going to head over and look at our grapefruit. Last year I managed to stay on top of fertilizing and watering deeply, and it did really well. Alright, see you guys next time. Happy gardening.